Fei silently overheard the village chief's conversation saying that if it was okay to let them die, or if they were still alive, they would be forced to work in the mines. So Fei immediately returned to invite Rui to escape before it was too late. But the people there are already preparing to arrest both. Fei gave bidding if let go would earn her money, but if not, she reported it to the police, who would end up jailed for life. Unfortunately, they were not interested in making Fei have to fight. Thanks to her martial arts skills, Fei managed to make them surrender, and the two quickly tried to escape, even though Rui was still in poor condition. After running far enough, they find the Kunsha gang resting in the middle of the forest. Unexpectedly, Fei made the mistake of making a sound and made Kunsha realize that someone was there, so they immediately chased him. In a bad situation, Rui continued to run. Then Fei tried to hide Rui with some leaves, and she also tried to hide him. The Kunsha gang almost loses track, but upon finding traces of blood, Kunsha realizes they are not far away. Mia, who feels that she will be found, quickly attacks, hoping to defeat this gang. However, she had to surrender after being threatened with a gun. Kunsha told to show Rui's whereabouts, but Fei refused and was forced to be beaten until bleeding. Rui saw the incident in a semi-conscious state, making his memory slowly clearer. Then, they brought Fei, intending to serve as bait. Huang Yu and Pang Pei had arrived in the dark forest. Since the situation does not allow to continue the search, the two decide to seek shelter and find a house that looks dirty, intending to sleep there. Huang Yu was surprised to see a dead body being wrapped. Makes him really scared. When Pang Pei examined the corpse, seeing that his head was injured as well as dirty nails full of dust, seemed to have died a few hours ago, and he was a mine worker. So, Pang Pei stay here is not problem, although Huang Yu forced to go, but outside does not guarantee the conditions will be safer. So Huang Yu forced to sleep one bed, that makes Pang Pei feel this is ridiculous. It turned out that Bing Bing was desperate to find Rui, and then Hao's assistant boss named Han also followed her. Finally, the two of them discussed the matter about Rui. Han asks Bing Bing to go home immediately because Hao's boss is worried. But Bing Bing will still look for Rui, no matter what happens, and asks Han to send troops to help Rui. The next morning, Hurong received a report that Rui and his two friends had not been found. Huan begged Hurong to add troops, hoping that they would be found soon, because this matter was actually the responsibility of the Hu family. Fei is detained in a mining village, and Kansha negotiates an offer for Fei to be released if he is willing to help her. Fei remains silent, not responding, making Kansha think sooner or later his friends would come to help. Elsewhere, Rui finally woke up with a slightly confused condition, but finally the memory had returned. He finds bloodstains and remembers Fei when he was captured by Kansha. Luckily, Huang Yu and Pang Pei had arrived to find Rui alone. Rui explains that the previous time he fell and hit his head on a rock while running away made him amnesiac, and now he has remembered everything. Also, about Fei, who has been captured by the Kanja gang. Pang Pei tries to trace the trail and suspects they are heading for a mining workers' village. Fei still held back, even though Kanja continued to force him to cooperate. While the three of them had arrived at the village, saw many armed guards at the front door. So they began to plan something, and Huang Yu came up with a genius idea. By disguising himself as a local citizen, walking into the village, monitoring the location where Fei was detained. Huang Yu thought the location must have more guards. Then, they separated according to plan, where Huang Yu and Rui watched the situation while Peng Pei disguised himself as a worker to find Kanja's whereabouts. Until finally, Peng Pei was stopped because it looked suspicious, and Kanja recognized the face quickly and immediately fought against them. After that, Peng Pei ran away because the real plan was to distract the guards. So Huang Yu and Rui could immediately help Fei. It turns out there are still 2 guards. While Rui and Huang Yu are not fighters, however, Rui is convinced to fight back by using the God's Eye, which can see the future and can predict every move of the enemy. After successfully defeating the 2 guards, they immediately went in to rescue Fei. While Peng Pei continued to run and had to surrender when surrounded by many armed guards. Some residents knew the 3 of them had escaped, but the man knew he would be beaten and let them go. Unfortunately, when they were about to reach the village gate, they met Kanja's gang who had captured Peng Pei. Kanja reminded them not to fight. Otherwise, Peng Pei would be executed. And they were all eventually caught. They meet Bogang's boss, who is surrounded by armed guards. Bogang knows if Rui has a good gambling ability, then he invites gambling with a gun with a capacity of 6 bullets and is already filled with 1 real bullet. In this game, they have to shoot each other in the head with a time limit of 5 seconds. Otherwise, they will be shot by guards. So this game is tantamount to suicide. Peng Pei will be the first person to do this. Luckily, Peng Pei survived. And Huang Yu got a really scared second turn while saying goodbye. Huang Yu survived, and Fei got a 3rd turn, sticking the gun to his head while looking at Rui. Luckily, Fei also survived, and finally Rui got the last turn, with a smaller chance of survival, trying to force snatch the gun from Fei. Rui realized that it would be useless to use the divine eye to help her, so she said, "Thank you for everything. See you in the next life," and lucky Rui still survived, delaying to meet his creator. They are all shocked, including Bogang's boss, who thinks this is luck. All of a sudden, the army had arrived from the Qin family and the Hurong family, who immediately surrounded them, made the situation turn around, making Bogang have to surrender. Rui realized in the gun was left 1 shot, which was clearly a real bullet, and aimed at Bogang. But finally, Rui fainted. A few moments later, Rui was in the hospital, accompanied by Bingbing, who looked worried. Rui then woke up. A little confused, Bingbing explained if Rui fainted after the previous gambling incident, the state of her friends, who were in good health. Bingbing apologized for the unpleasant trip to Myanmar, and Rui thanked the Qin family for their help in the rescue mission. Then Huang Yu and Peng Pei arrived, and Bingbing said goodbye to leave because she was going to take care of some things. Fei came out of the room trying to hear Huang Yu talk, saying if Fei is still unconscious and needs treatment, even though she is a strong woman, still needs the warmth of a man. Hearing that, Rui was worried and immediately wanted to see Fei's condition. Fei had to go back to the room and pretend that she was still unconscious. Huang Yu invites Peng Pei to come out to make room for the 2 of them because they have gone through various events together, hoping that love will appear between them. Rui also remembered all the moments when she was saved by this girl. I wonder if Fei really loves her. As she was about to caress, Fei woke up, then Rui thanked her for all the things she had done to make Fei blush. A few days after being discharged from the hospital, they gathered at the home of Hurong's boss, who thanked them for everything they have done, especially since saving Huan. She felt very guilty for being selfish by not helping her, but it was because of the instinct of a mother who wanted to protect her daughter. Rui didn't mind that, and it was a past done. Also, their cooperation was still valid. If Rui managed to overcome the mine problem, he would get 25% profit. Hearing about the money, Huang Yu was so excited to invite to toast together. Hurong appreciated their hard work, and now Myanmar is home to all, and also offers to stay longer. Welcome to visit anytime. At the Chin family mansion, Bing apologized for disobeying Boss Hao, who was desperate to go to help Rui. Because if they did not arrive on time, they would definitely die at the hands of Boss Bogang. Boss Hao looked a little annoyed that Bing was too rash in making decisions, because he was sure that the Hurong family would get there on time. Then Boss Hao gives Bing an important object, asking her to take good care of it. The next day, Bing went to see Rui to inquire about the condition of everyone involved in the previous terrifying incest. Rui was indebted to Fei, who had saved him over and over again, and it proved that Fei was a dutiful bodyguard. That night, they go to an antique fair, and Bing explains about Rui's arrest by the Kunja gang, because she heard that Huan was kidnapped and finally free after a rescue mission at the casino. Then, Rui was interested in seeing the statue made of tree roots. Then, Rui used the God's Eye to penetrate inside to find something inside. So Rui bought the statue for 40,000. Rui explained that if he bought the statue as a memory from Myanmar, the roots may be around 100 years old. After that, Rui explained to Bing that he planned to work with Hurong's boss to solve something related to the mine. The reason Bing took Rui to the market tonight was actually to say goodbye because she was going home to Ukraine, and I don't know when they could meet again. Then, removing the cricket that had been given made her always remember Rui, hoping to continue to be together. But according to Rui, it is not a problem because WhatsApp or Facebook are not yet bankrupt. The next morning, Rui unpacks the wooden statue he bought last night and finds a scroll that is a very mysterious ancient map. Then, Hurong told about the condition of the company that no longer has a technical advisor. So Rui is the right candidate to return to explore Bukit Batu in search of a new source of purple jade. Rui explained that if he had never done exploration before, it would certainly be very difficult and not as easy as imagined. But Hurong believed that Rui could make a good judgment, like when choosing a rough stone in the Emporium. Hearing this, Rui recalled using the God's Eye a few days earlier, where when he penetrated deep into seeing the jade material, was indeed there, which seemed to be producing a lot of quality jade. But Rui was afraid that the source of the mining was indeed not to be mined, because of the location of the stone mountains surrounding the village, and the thing that made him worry, because the whole body of the mountain is unstable. If using heavy equipment or explosives will make landslides bury the village below, so that there will be many people killed. Hurong made a plan by doing mining carefully, also arranged the villagers to be moved and built a small village or town as a new place to live for them. Hurong thought Rui was too kind, as he was still worried about the villagers who had hurt him. But Rui had not thought about it, because he preferred to lose rather than make a profit by deceiving others. And it was a simple and honest principle. After that he could not return to Beijing, because Hurong would relocate the village to look for mining resources in the mountains surrounding the place, which was likely, if the mining operation operated, the entire village would be destroyed. So Rui would find a solution in case of conflict. Moving to the village, Huang Yu and Peng Pei accompanied Reno to meet the village head, to negotiate by providing compensation money as the village transfer budget. And if less, there will be additional money that will be included in the details of the contract agreement. The head of the village rejected this plan, even though the money given was quite a lot, and the condition of the villagers was poor. But this village had existed for hundreds of years, so that their ancestors were buried here. So the relocation of the village would be problematic. Also, he considered this was not about money. Houses and graves were relocated, but how the spirits of their ancestors would not calm down and worry that there would be demonstrations from the spirit world. Hearing that Reno had threatened to kidnap Rui and Fei, as well as several others who had previously been used as manual laborers until they died, it would be dangerous if this information was known by the police or the public. So make the village chief promise never to go to the barbershop again. So the head of the village gave information about the relocation of the village to the residents. But there was a refusal, because they did not want to move from the ancestral village, making the situation not conducive. So, Renodama immediately fired a gun to stop the chaos, then reminded about the crimes that had been committed by the residents, such as kidnappings and deaths, that were not revealed, plus many other cases, and if spread to the public will definitely be a problem, and will be punished by the police. A man pleading not to relocate because his ancestral tomb is there makes Reno kick and will shoot him. Luckily, Pang Pei stops the action. Huang Yu tries to calm down and give the citizens a chance to discuss without violence. Huang Yu suggested that if violence would not solve the problem, Renodama would insist. Huang Yu explained that there is a small river on the outskirts of the village that is a source of water for the residents, and if you are reckless in mining, it will have an impact on polluting the water source. It is not only this village that gets into trouble, but also the water sources in several other villages will be contaminated. Hearing this, Renodama will consult with Hurong about the effects of pollution from mining activities. She will delay until there is a decision from Hurong and immediately leave the village. The next day, they began to prepare for exploration and observation of the mountain, and would be escorted by people from the Hu family. This long journey begins by entering a forest area that is rarely visited by humans, and must pass through the Valley of Death. And luckily, the guards also carry weapons to anticipate something dangerous. After arriving at the Valley of Death, or Hades' Gate, Renodama explained, several years earlier, the leader of a team of mine workers disappeared after entering this area, so a large-scale search was carried out but was not found. Finally, after a few days, his body was found with a terrible state without any scars. According to Pang Pei, there was something strange because there were no fatal wounds or no visible starved to death, and Huang Yu suspected it might be killed by a forest ghost. Then, they decided to take a short break at that place, while Reno would look for a source of water. In that area, Rui found a strange magnetic field so strong that the compass does not work accurately, that the effect on the phone cannot get a signal. Pang Pei searches for Reno because he is worried that he has not returned, which turns out to be on the side of the river. When approaching Pang Pei, hears a conversation about a mission Hurong ordered to poison the food and must immediately kill them all. Hearing this, Pang Pei immediately returned to inform Hurong of Hurong's evil intentions, with the excuse of taking them all to be executed in the forest. Pang Pei makes a plan to split the two groups and will meet at the northern border, so Rui and Fei leave immediately. Unexpectedly, Reno returned and immediately attacked with weapons. I don't know how many bullets spent and not a single shot on target. And hey, amateur! They continued to run in a chase in the forest. Then Pang Pei had a plan to scatter and beat when they let their guard down. Meanwhile, Rui and Fei also ran away and even fell mired to make Fei faint. Then Fei's cell phone signal was restored when Rui accidentally saw a message from a foreign number that showed a conversation to approach the sheep that was now in Myanmar. Rui was shocked about this feeling all this time. Fei had been taking advantage of him. Then Fei came to her senses, not knowing if Rui had discovered the secret that made her so angry. Suddenly, he felt dizzy, and his eyesight was impaired, unable to see clearly like a blind person, making the situation even more complicated and desperate. Meanwhile, Huang Yu and Pang Pei kept running away and found a large tree as a place to hide. So they were confused after losing track and immediately went to look for another location. Elsewhere, Rui was furious that all this time Fei had reported every incident to someone. Fei denies this, explaining that the sheep referred to in the message is not Rui, but Rui still does not believe it because their relationship has been for personal purposes. Rui remembered the message from Uncle Gu. The human heart is the most difficult thing to understand. Then Rui went alone, with the help of a stick to the riverbank to calm down. Then Fei came with some forest fruits, tried to offer Rui, but Rui still refused, despite trying many times for fear of Rui starving. Fei assured her that she would not be hurt because if she had intended to be evil, she would have done so. But Rui remained silent without any response. After successfully escaping the pursuit of Renodama, Huang Yu and Pang Pei continue their journey to find a large tree with hanging roots. Pang Pei jumped to climb to the top of the tree, which turned out he was looking for a source of water from the roots of the tree by cutting it. Huang Yu also tried to drink from the drops of the tree roots, which he found to be sweet and fresh. After the drinking bottle is filled with water, Pang Pei backed down to immediately continue the journey. But Huang Yu complained that he was hungry, so Pang Pei set up a trap hoping to catch an edible animal there. Elsewhere, Fei also made a meal of mushrooms that were burned and then gave the food to Rui. But Rui was still angry that he didn't believe anything from her. Realizing this, Fei said he would escort Rui northward as per the agreement with Pang Pei. After that, she will split up and in the future will never disturb or appear before Rui. So they continue their journey and Fei looks very sad. But it is too late because Rui no longer trusts her. The trap made by Pang Pei finally managed to get a wild chicken. Then Pang Pei burned the chicken wrapped in leaves. Huang Yu looks like a tired person, while Pang Pei eats casually even without salt and soy sauce. When finished, Huang Yu foolishly threw the wet wood into the fire. Pang Pei panicked and immediately buried with the ground because the wet wood would later cause smoke so that the enemy would know their location, then quickly had to leave the place. Obviously, Renodama found traces of burning, which were traces of Fei and Rui, who had not recovered their eyesight and had to walk with the help of sticks to take this tiring journey. But Rui realized that they were walking in the wrong direction to the south, because the forest vegetation marks were different from the north. Elsewhere, Huang Yu was very happy after finding a lot of fruit and tried to offer it to Pang Pei. He was surprised and immediately threw away the fruit while scolding him, because it is a very poisonous sea mango, can make Huang Yu die 3 hours after eating it. Pang Pei immediately looked for an antidote, while Huang Yu started to get nauseous after the poison started to work. Pang Pei finds the pudding apple plant and immediately digs up the roots, taking some fruit to give to Huang Yu, who looks already anxiously waiting for death. He immediately eats the roots, even though it tastes a little bitter, and if it doesn't work, Pang Pei tells to make a last will.